Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hello, I'm back again. Da, 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 da. Oh, have I been drinking? Oh, am I pissed? Oh, am I drunk? No, I just did 3 hours of music. You know how it gets me all. Oh yeah, music, man. Oh, what a beat. Oh. Shall I have a thirsty ferret? Here's a thirsty ferret. Badger beers. Established 1777. Badger, Dorset Brewers. Wow. Hey, Mark. Mike. Hi, Mike. How you doing? I'm going to have a thirsty ferret. From a brewer that's been brewing since 1777. That's the time of Mozart. Anyway, right. Ooh. That's cheeky. Cheeky beer. So, here we are. Second day on the new job. Enjoying myself. I'm working with VR and AR stuff, which is quite nice. I have no idea what assets will my engine use. I have no idea. Maybe a custom format, because I've got to the point where I'm sick and tired of dealing with other people's attempts at whatever. A custom format would have a certain advantage or two. So, but I don't know. That's yet to be decided. Anyway, I did figure out, because I had a sneaky little look at it earlier, I figured out that problem I was trying to work out the solution to, which is what you do with problems. Although I kind of learned the hard way that not everybody actually wants solutions to problems, but that's another story. I'm a solution, looking for people who want solutions. But yeah, story of my life. We've got this, right. So what the problem was, it should probably work now. Let's see. Boop, hello, which was what was sent from here. Hello. Ah, hello. Okay, so restart that, and then I hit refresh on this page, and hello. So it's working. And what was the problem? The problem was simply that in order to transmit a page back from a web server, you have to put in the content length. This thing here, content length. You have to send that, and then content type, access control for the cause crap, and then you've got content length, and that content length is the number of bytes that are being transmitted, and you have to put that in, otherwise the thing just doesn't work. And then I can close the socket, and then it all works. So that's pretty good. The only thing is that I tried all kinds of stuff about, well, I'm not actually closing the socket. I suppose I should actually try closing the socket now. But it should work, because it works even without closing the socket. So, socket and see. Oh, no. That is so sad. It's not quite over yet, because, yeah, the socket has remained up, so I still have to figure out how to close the socket. As you just try some combinations of things, if I do this, which means it's still running in the system, oh, then it'll crash. Yeah, that's no good. Let's test again. If I don't try to close the socket and I hit refresh, it works. If I try shut down, does that work? No. And it doesn't crash either. I wouldn't be hard on VR. The thing about VR is there was unreasonable expectations that VR would become the next great medium. It's not going to happen like that. VR and AR, well, I don't know. I mean, what do I know? People making predictions about things, but if I had to make a prediction between VR and AR, well, no, it shouldn't, because the hardware is too expensive. It's not mass market yet. You know, no, but 3D in the 90s, the point there was that people managed to get 3D out of existing technology. You didn't have to invent technology for 3D. 3D became a big thing because essentially of Doom and the first-person shooter, which caught the imagination of people. And so, you know, but that was running on existing hardware. They didn't have to develop special hardware to make the first-person shooter. That's the difference. The virtual reality is, I like it. I think it's got a lot going for it, but it's going to take a while before it really catches on and becomes mainstream. But I think it will. And I'll tell you why. Because we're going to be living increasingly in a world in which there will be no escape. I think by 2030, which is only like 11 years away, they're predicting there'll be 8.6 billion people on the planet. I was thinking about this today. I was thinking, well, you know what? If you put people, or if you give people virtual reality headsets or a little virtual reality machine, you can live in a, you know, can you imagine the landlords of 2030? You know, right now, it's a bit inconvenient if you've got a property because, you know, you can't cram too many people in. But if you have virtual reality, you can theoretically have a house with like 20 people living in it because everybody just goes into their virtual reality worlds. As the world gets more and more crowded, I'm being a bit tongue-in-cheek, but as the world gets more and more crowded, virtual reality is going to be really essential. 2D was only dead in the late 90s because, why? It wasn't really dead. It's what happened there, which is something very annoying. What happened was that Sony came along with a PlayStation, and they provided a platform that all the publishers jumped onto because of the promise of no piracy. That is basically it. But what Sony did was they were only interested in games that pushed their technology. And so they were very anti 2D games. So in actual fact, the reason for the disappearance of 2D games in the 90s, right, was essentially, well, not completely, because I think they're still sort of in the early, well, maybe the latter half of the 90s. The reason for it was because of that basically everybody was publishing on PlayStation, and PlayStation, Sony didn't want 2D games. So 2D, but you see, the desire for 2D games, that's the funny thing. It's like, there's 2D games. There's nobody who wants 2D games. Well, actually, that's not true, because 2D games came back again. It's like on mobile, 2D games. I don't know, Angry Birds, 2D games. So you're telling me that in the 90s there was no demand for 2D games, There's always been demand for 2D games. What happens with the industry is it gets twisted. It thinks it understands the market, but in actual fact, it's giving the market what it wants. But a lot more often than not, it's actually changing the market. It's self-fulfilling prophecy, But anyway, I think VR is like 2D in the 90s. It's there, but not popular. Yeah, but it's different. Again, in the 90s, 2D was entirely possible with the technology. You didn't need technology. But then, of course, that's the problem, isn't it? Because if some idiot comes along and makes a game that's incredibly successful with 2D, and you're trying to push 3D as your technology, it's a bit embarrassing. So what do you need all of this 3D technology for if you could just do a 2D game? Just saying, It's different. There's very different, because there you had the technology to do 2D games. But if you want to do VR, you've got a whole technology that you have to make for it, don't you? No, it's not true, Mike. It's like the audience wanted 3D, 2D was old. It's not true. I tell you it's not true, because I don't believe it. Because otherwise, if that was the case, then 2D is still old. We would never have had Angry Birds. It just wouldn't happen, because it's old. Everybody wants more 3D, more realism. Push it that way. And that's, in a sense, really what the problem is. It's got to do with the fact that it's not easy to do VR. You have to strap a thing onto your head. So first of all, you also have to get over a kind of cultural thing. Who's willing to strap something on their head? We have to get rid of that kind of geeky thing people are embarrassed about, strapping a thing on their head and going, like this. At a certain point, no doubt, when books were invented, people felt the same, about burying their head in a book. You get over it. So we've got that side of it for it to become mainstream. But the main thing that we need for it to become mainstream, really mainstream, is it needs to be convenient. It needs to be mass market. It needs to be in your face. It needs to be easy. And then it needs to provide something that you can't have any other way. One of the things I like about VR is just, it'd be better when the resolution gets higher, but it's basically you can put yourself into a room and just chill. I mean, it's funny that. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I was just saying, making the point that with AR and VR. And my view is that AR is very useful for AR is very useful for real world applications. For example, they're using it in surgery. You use it for training. You can use AR for a ton of stuff. That's amazing. But entertainment, it's, we have the Pokemon Go thing, but now it's like a fad. It's like nobody was. Is there going to be another Pokemon Go? Everybody's got the idea. Yeah, it's like discovering the internet. It's very cool at first, then it just becomes a thing that's there. Um, I actually think for entertainment purposes, VR has more of a future than AR. Is my feeling, because with with entertainment, what you're trying to do is escape. I mean, this is the fundamental thing with entertainment. You read a book, you escape. You watch a film, you escape. You play a game, you escape. So when you're trying to do AR entertainment, are you really escaping? You're sort of escaping, but you're not. It's kind of a bit weird, isn't it? So I think it's a bit confusing. It's plus there's the problem of, how do you design a game? How do you design an AR game other than Pokemon Go type idea? Design an AR game that really is compelling. I mean, I suppose you could play an AR game where you project a scene, board, whatever, onto a table, and you can all. But then you can also actually, augment that experience by adding things such as, touch. What's the word for that? I've forgotten the word for it now. But so that you can actually pick up the pieces and feel the pieces in your finger. Like playing chess. You can play chess. You have an AR chess. Yeah, or you could have AR chess with extra in there, like then you can actually physically pick up the pieces and you can feel the pieces under your finger and you can literally move them around, and it's called a chessboard with chess pieces. So I'm not sure that it's really giving you something. Maybe you can have special effects, but special effects, they're a fad. They're not. That's like sugar on top. It's not like the core of the entertainment experience is dressing. So I kind of feel that AR has a tremendous future for non-entertainment or serious games or training or tools and so on. There's absolutely amazing potential there. But I would, for pure entertainment, I'd put my money on VR. Despite what the market says and so on, you've got to give it a chance. You've got to let the technology become more accessible. I think when it becomes portable, that's probably where it stands a chance of kicking off. Is retro a fad? I don't know. Is retro a fad? It's like, I don't think so. The way you can tell when something isn't a fad is that it survives the test of time. So by definition, retro survived the test of time. suppose. Anyway, let's see what we get. So here I've got this empty response because I'm still not shutting this socket down properly, which is really annoying. So still not out of the woods yet. And this is with sock option linger. I actually am lingering. So what I could do, it's just really weird that it would immediately, I mean, if I paused a little bit, it would be, you do close socket. So shut down and send everything. And it's still, and I didn't even close the socket. Oh, it's really annoying. It's difficult to get good information on this. You just put a random word on the internet and you just get a bunch of guys going as if it means anything. Hey, be a rebel. Do the thing that all rebels do. You know, I don't know. I don't understand it. So shutdown function. Receive. Shutdown send operations. Okay. Cool. Yes. Oh, boy. Graceful shutdown. You can get options and socket closure. The following material is provided as clarification for the subject of shutting down socket connections. You have to go and make it full. I mean, talk about flipping nuisance. Things. How flipping wide does this have to be readable? Okay, I think I have to. It's weird. There's two different options. There's linger and don't linger. Don't linger. Does not block. Okay, so it's a bool. Let me try something. Here we go. Let's try that. There, hit refresh here. Oh, this is so painful. Close. Right, let's use close socket. This is that strange voodoo land with an API where Nobody really knows how to do it properly. It doesn't make sense. Oh. Here we go. So, yeah, you do this. No, you don't. The compiler finds the shutdown function, doesn't recognize. Let me try this a different way. I wonder whether the web browser closes the connection. Hey, Amiga 500, how you doing? No, I'm good, thank you. So there's this horrible select there, where there's error FDS. See if I ever get an error. I mean, if I'm lucky, the web browser disconnects, and then, oh, that's all right then. Where's my, here. I don't know if it ever disconnects it. It's not saying there's any error. When a connection comes in, I can get it to print something when a connection comes in. Whoa. Wait a minute. Wrong place. Here, incoming connection. Well, it even says incoming connection. So when does the connection get dropped? Yes, I am, but I'm working on some networking problems associated with it. So right now I'm trying to figure out how to do sockets properly. Yeah, I get incoming connection every blooming time. So you see, it's running my sort of shell, my engine, my app, whatever you want to call it. Then I refresh this page, it connects to it, as you can see. And manages to read back some information sent by it to the web browser, but it doesn't drop the connection. I'm trying to get the other protocol where if I close the socket, then the thing doesn't read it. But actually thinking about it, I'm doing there is something I can definitely do here. Once this is done, then console log text, and then I need to of course you're hearing a lot of it hasn't aged well. Because it's the same thing. Sony go and release that, and now it's threat to, you know, it's the Emperor's new clothes. It's the thing. And it's really weird because it's like I don't know. It would be like in painting, is to say everyone get obsessed with photorealism, and then so as art is all about being as photorealistic as possible, and then you go back to something that's impressionist and you say hasn't aged well. It's because people can't look at these people who say this kind of thing. They're not looking at it as art. They're looking at it as technology. Or maybe if one was being cynical, I'll just say cynical. That's all I'll do. I'll just say cynical and let the word cynical float around the room a bit. But anyway, how can I do a disconnect? Maybe that's one way of getting around this problem, which is the web browser disconnects. So JavaScript fetch close. No. Okay, it must be closing. Does fetch close connection JavaScript. Okay, WinSock. You know, I'm really getting annoyed with this. This is crazy. It's why can't I figure that out? I'm going to speak. This feels like I'm going to be here for days trying to figure this one out. Yeah. It's incoming connection. It said when I aborted. Let me try this again. If I go here, Do, 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 do. Okay, now I simulate my... It didn't say. Okay, I'm not flushing. All right. So I've got a problem there that I'm using. This is before I set up my logging. Incoming connection, as you can see here, is not doing a flush, so you don't see this. If I do this, then I'm using my special log, which actually does. You own a video game store. I didn't know that. So now I can see there was an incoming connection. Every time I hit enter, it's printing the same thing out again. And then I did Control C. Ah! Let's try that again and make sure that that's working correctly. So it connects, da, 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 blah, 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 blah. Incoming thing does, there's an incoming connection. There is, the game has sent back a response that looks like a web page. I quit, and line 90 was called. I've forgotten Amiga. I'm sorry. It's terrible. Oh, right. So there is a disconnected. So when this disconnects, it disconnects. It disconnected. Yes. I can see when it disconnects. Line 90. Disconnect. Everything's cool. So why doesn't it work when I do a web page? How hard can it be, huh? Very hard. This is what network programmers do all day, clearly. So we go here and do that, and we hit refresh. Right. Ta-da! It disconnected and then said incoming connection again. Yeah, because it's an incoming connection again. Oh. So remind me, what did you tell me back in the revival days? If you tell me, I might remember. Do you know what this means? It actually means it's working, and I didn't realize this was working, because it is actually successfully disconnecting, and then it reconnects because I refresh the page. If I want to... Yeah, it disconnects when I close the page. Oh, it's a little ugly. I close the page. It didn't disconnect, so it's just hanging around now. Oh, brilliant. Ah, okay. Well, thank you very much for your efforts. Unfortunately, it was too much of an uphill struggle. But I appreciate efforts. Thank you. Hi John, how you doing? Oh, it's the same thing. I'm still trying to figure out why. Well, I've managed to make it so that it receives the thing here. But I was just worried about having to close the connection. So what I'm going to do, because if I try and close the socket, the problem is that it if I try and close the socket and it doesn't transmit, so I'm trying to figure out how to deal with a graceful thing. If I refresh the page, it actually manages to disconnect, but if I close the page, it's still... And I don't want to sit here trying to figure this out forever because it's really, really horrible. Oh, you're welcome, mate. I tried. I did my best, didn't I? I tried, right? I tried. Now I don't know what I'm doing. So, what we do? It's like, how does this work? You do incoming connection, disconnect when I refresh the page. Oh, and eventually it timed out. And I don't need to do anything. I think what I'm going to do is nothing, because I think it's just going to be all right. Because you see, eventually it timed out by itself. And when the connection drops, then all right. End result is I don't think I have anything to fix. So I'll get back on with what I was actually trying to do. So what I've got now is a two-way communication between this web page and my... Nobody gives a damn that I busted my arse. So I tried. I mean, dear God. You know, it's like, mate, I busted my arse. And, you know, well... There are still, I busted my arse, but there are people out there who think that I didn't actually write Kick-Off Revival. She's just like, that's the thing. That conversation you said yesterday, that you were still trying to work out what I was saying about success, reward, ownership, whatever. And there you go. Achievement. If you want proof it's all an illusion, Mr. Illusion. And now for my next trick, I will make all my achievements disappear. Ta-da! All gone. And nothing's changed. Yeah, it's just the same. Anyway, let's see. What I want to do is when I change... Oh, but you see, the problem is well... Okay, what I want to do is when I change one of these parameters, I want it to send a request to the program. So let me see if I can do that. It's a bit of a messing about this, but believe me, it's worth it. Maybe. It's worth it, maybe. Request str. plus str. There we go. And so a function response text, blah, 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 blah. And I just keep it like this and like that. And what I've got a function then is that it can send, I have a function that can send a request. At the moment I do a log. And then after the log, I'll send the request. This is, I've got a feeling something nasty is going to happen. So it's normal then. K1, K1 equal actually, let's try this. Var s equals this, which I'll then print and then send it to the request. Let's see how this works. Save that, refresh page, and then we'll see. Well, it seems to be working. Hey, Gavin. Hey, can you believe today on LinkedIn, I basically changed my status because I've started a new job this week. And I've received quite a lot of nice messages from people saying, congratulations, you know, your new job and so on. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good. But there was one which said, oh, you beep. I wanted that job. You beep. What? I was like, what? You look like a bit of a jokey profile, but it's like, well, there we go, you know. So I reported and blocked it. But it's like, what the? Well, you know, it's, gee, man. I mean, you know, that's all right. But you know, you're a hater. Bye. And I looked at the thing, and it's, although you could tell it's kind of a jokey thing or whatever, it had a certain timbre to it. And there was a group of students at one time when I was working in the Netherlands. They were very unsavoury, like extremely unsavoury, and I suspect it might be because it was definitely someone in the Netherlands. It might have been one of them. So there you go. If I could do things over again, I don't think I would become a teacher, actually. Which will probably be a shame, actually, because it was probably good for me to do that, go into teaching. But can you imagine poor me, little old me, doing teaching? I mean, you know, it's like putting a chain smoker in charge of dynamite. I mean, dear me. It's like, if you want to have a situation where there's going to be toxicity, I mean, you know, it's like flipping it, because I mean, a lot of students, they're young people who often haven't really got, necessarily all of them haven't got their head straight yet, because, you know, hey, we were all like that at that age. Well, not all of us, but you get the idea. And then as a teacher, you're trying to sort of help students sort of develop themselves, which means that you've got to sort of challenge them. And so, yeah, dear me, shudder. Anyway, You'll be able to read all about that in my memoirs, maybe one day, or not. So this seems to be all right. What I'll actually do is have it. Right, so the program is then sending back a message, right? In here. So when the network data was received, I need to parse it. If I parse it, I can change this value. Yes, that's it. Right, I'm nearly there actually, then, in what I need to do. Oh, Mike, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. In this day and age where everything is all pervasive and available everywhere instantaneously and therefore has no value, I am seriously considering releasing my music on vinyl only. I mean, seriously. But my memoirs on vinyl, now that is something. Boy, my memoirs on vinyl, I like it. I like it very much. Because we live in a world where that convenience just makes things not worth anything anymore. That's why, in a way, I'm quite happy if my entire audience is just you guys. Because it's like, you guys, you know, you guys are actually interested because you keep coming up and popping up. You know, here we are, especially Mike there. It's like, yeah, that's kind of cool, you know. If I was to release my memoirs on vinyl, I'm pretty sure that Mike would buy a copy. And that has to be worth something. Tapes are the new retro. Yeah. You see, the funny thing is, though, right, there's something about vinyl. What there is about vinyl is that when a recording is on vinyl, you can hack that recording to listen to it, even when the apocalypse has happened. Tape, maybe, but tape doesn't last. It fades, and it's very delicate. As for your MP3, wow. And tape probably would not escape the EMP, electromagnetic pulse, I think, but vinyl will. And so you could, quite possibly, in a post-apocalyptic world, take a vinyl LP and fashion a needle to actually play it. It's totally doable. And that would be. I mean, you can make your own. It's a simple enough technology. You could make one. And so, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because everything else is going to go. We've put all of our knowledge, all of our knowledge, except in China. You see, China, they're clever. They're clever in China. They understand these things. They built a library. They built this huge library with paper books in it. And it's an amazing thing to see. There were some photographs of it on LinkedIn. And of course, you know, you get people there from LinkedIn with what they reply to. Oh yeah, look at this. You could store all of this on a thumbstick. Yeah, you could store all of that on. You could store the whole library on a thumbstick. Yeah, sure you can. Yeah. How are you going to read the thumbstick in a post-apocalyptic humanity. If everything does go belly up with all our technology, the chances of you managing to extract off a USB stick all of the information, even in like 100 years' time, but actually you don't even need post-apocalyptic anything. I mean, just look at how difficult it is to get data back from old technology. Even without that, I mean, it's like, you could imagine that in 50 years' time, thumbsticks would be obsolete. So any data that you put on there, you'll have no chance of reading, or you have to jump through hoops to get it. So in fact, I think that they're quite clever with what they're doing, because you know, we have, I mean, they could go even further and actually put the really important information in stone. Because you think about it, there are ancient texts that were discovered that go back thousands of years. Thousands. Sorry, that went a bit high. Thousands. Went thousands of years. You know, so you have to say that was pretty cool technology, but survived thousands of years. I don't really see things on a USB stick surviving thousands of years. Makes you think, huh? Anyway, back to what I'm trying to do, which is that when I move the slider, I want to transmit the slider over, which is what I am trying to do here. It will then get the response which I need to decode, and I'm not printing the response yet. So when I do network data received, yeah, I need to parse it. So for each one of these, let me print it. Yeah, physical, it's true. I go home. Do you know, I don't listen to music anymore, not really. Not, I don't, except when I go home, like Netherlands, where Karina is, that home. I'm kind of like two homes. And I actually do listen to music there. And I put on vinyl. Yes, because it's like a little ritual. And then it's the original recordings which haven't been messed about with and recompressed and put through compressors and whatever else and messed around with and say remixed. No, it's the original thing in analog. Sounds great. Anyway, let's see. So now, if I do, there we go. Oh, look. Accept language. Yeah, there it is. Each time I get the user agent, blah, 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 blah. Now, all I care about is, what do I care about? I care about this get. That is right. It is. But it's not quite so simple. It's not really the digital. Because you know, it's like I do a lot of recording in my upstairs, where I'm preparing for the sessions that I go to. I go to a couple of sessions a month in the recording studio trying to get this album done. And it's progressing nicely. A bit slow, but that's my inexperience. But I record things on my iPad, and that's digital. And it's fine. You can have soul in there. The problem isn't so much the digital as the fact that when they take the original recordings, let's say classic recording like Kind of Blue, Miles Davis, it's one of the finest recordings ever. It was recorded in a room, a hall, with 3 microphones, but by a audio engineer who had tremendous experience and did a good job with 3 microphones. And it was mixed with the technology of the day and put onto vinyl. Then what happens is that we've got modern technology, and what they do is they take the 3 tracks of the original recording and then they redo that process to remaster it so that you get better audio quality. But what the problem is that everything was designed, the positioning of the microphones, the way it was mixed, the way that the sound would come out on the LP itself, on vinyl itself, was all part of a system which the sound engineer was aware through their experience of that medium. So that all the choices that they made were all designed to be part of that system. And what you do is you then take that recording and you put it into a new world, the world of digital. But it was never recorded in a way that was designed to work with digital, because digital didn't exist back then. So in the effort to make it better, you actually make it worse. If you take the idea that the sound engineer knew what they were doing and were crafting the way it was being recorded for the whole thing, you've actually damaged their creative work. And so what the end result is that you lose some soul. Because the soul is another way of looking at it. It's like the wisdom. It's the whole thing. There is another way of this happens with video games. So you take a video game and play it in an emulator, and you're playing it on a screen which is reproducing the graphics perfectly, as in pixel perfect, because your screen is better quality than the old CRT TVs. But the art was originally designed to be displayed on the CRT with the weaknesses and defects or whatever. It was crafted to work in that context. That art then looks worse when you look at it on a modern screen. Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, oh, we think I wasn't even looking at the text, Amiga, but yeah, we're thinking along the same wavelength. Exactly. It's like playing a CRT game on an LED TV. You don't get the feeling. You've lost the soul. Because it was never designed to be displayed on an LED TV. It's exactly the same. And so it isn't so much that the digital causes the soul to go away, it's that the damn thing is messed with. What you should do is respect the whole process. And if you want it to sound the same as the original recording, what you do is you take the vinyl master and you play it, or you take a vinyl recording of it and you play it on a really good turntable, really good, whatever, needle, or rest of it. And you play it off that and digitize that, and then you've captured the whole thing. You've captured the whole pipeline. But they don't do that because, of course, you know, there's this, everybody wants to kill the golden goose, don't they? Everybody wants to mess with it and say, we can make it better. I mean, hey, go back in time and give Miles Davis a better trumpet. It's as stupid as that. You can't do that, but it's stupid as that thing you can't do. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've got a CRT TV. I've got one. But you know, you can't capture everything. Everything changes. We have to let it go. We have to let everything go, don't we? You can't hold on to everything. It goes. Let it go. You know, you could replace it with a new thing, but that's the weird thing, though, because you'd say, well, now you can create even more awesome stuff, can you? That's the trick, isn't it? Sometimes when you work with the constraints, you actually create, you have more opportunity to create beautiful things when you work with constraints than when you have no constraints. You see this time and time again. I mean, just a very topical example. When are they going to finish Star Citizen? No constraints. They can do anything they like. They paid $200 million on that game, and it hasn't even been released yet. God. Anyway, look. So I should get on. I mean, at this rate, I'm never going to get. Anyway, whatever. So what I need to do is parse this, and I have to get the get. So what I'm going. This is a bit painful because I'm doing string manipulation in C. That's I don't have any libraries for that. I want to check if. Okay, let's just. Does it start with get? So in order to answer that question, I think I need to start doing some adding to my string library, which is going to be string compare, strong comp. And then I don't need to do that. I don't need to add my library. I can just, does it start with get? I can use string comp, right? But I need to well, that's the point, isn't it? Less tools, more soul. If you don't believe me, the fewer tools you have, the more opportunity you have to put soul in. They want an example of that? Music. Learn a musical instrument. I play guitar a lot. I play a few instruments. I like to play real instruments. You know, there's no MIDI, program it. No. You play the damn musical instrument because that's what you do with musical instruments. You play them. But these days, that's going out of fashion. People don't play musical instruments anymore. And so if you've got an example of losing soul, that would be it, wouldn't it? What are we doing to ourselves? Crazy. So I can compare, all right, I can use string comp. String comp, I'm going to compare a string which is get, I can just do it like this, not so difficult, with str, and I check 3 characters. Making retro in Unity 3D, that is all right, because I could live with that. I don't think there it's a slightly different problem. It's the fact that all the making retro on Unity 3D is harder than doing it without Unity. It would have been easier for me to have shipped Kickoff Revival if I had not used Unity. In the end, it would have been harder work to get going initially, but in the end I would have saved time. No doubt about it. Unity makes it easy to start things, and it's difficult to finish them. So yeah, so if I've got get, then what I want to do is I need to find the slash. So for that I can use structure int I. It wasn't. Not really. I've been there. I did it. No, it was. It's not hard. It's not hard. It's just required. It's just a question of experience. It's like saying playing a music or playing the violin is hard. It's not. Playing the violin is not hard. Everybody's told that playing the violin is hard. But it's no more hard than learning how to speak. People say it's difficult to learn to sing. Why? You know, people say things like, I haven't got a musical bone in my body. I remember one guy who was saying, I haven't got a musical bone in my body. It's like those things that people say. It's like a little phrase that they have that they can bring out, you know, sort of thing. It's bullshit. What I actually said to this guy was, you're able to speak. When you speak, your phrases come out with a certain natural rhythm. You have intonation in your voice that goes up and down. That's music. There's no difference. When people say that they can't, they don't have a musical bone in their body, it's ridiculous as them saying, oh, you know, I'm unable to speak. It's an expression. You'd give a child a violin and say, and show them that there's, you know, playing the violin is normal as walking or talking or singing or anything else. They learn to play the violin. There you are. They play the violin. There you are. It's like it's no problem. You learn how to fripping do things by doing them. Drives me nuts. So it's not that it's hard. It's that it's inconvenient. Learning to play the violin is not hard. It's just inconvenient. And that's it. Yeah, that is true. It's very the same way that playing a violin is all about musical skill. But the thing about skill is that you learn the skill. I was a fracking teenager when I started doing it. I started at the age of flipping 13. You know, it's like when programming, I was making games at the age of 13 on this cutting edge technology that nobody's ever seen before. And you go, oh, you must have been really well. No, I just enjoyed what I was doing. I spent all my time doing it. I mean, literally, that's it. There's no magic to it. You know, I went to Kickoff. Yeah, okay, but the reality is I've been making games for about 8 years. Because that's what I did. You know, there are people who you know, do domino, whatever you call them, topple dominoes, you know, like 50,000, 100,000 dominoes. You know, they've been doing it for like 10 years or something, and been making, ever since they were small. They're very good at doing it. It's just the same as you become good at whatever you focus. They did a study to find out what was the difference between, say, a violinist that is like, you know, a lead violinist, first violinist in an orchestra or whatever, you know, as opposed to like a second violinist or a teacher or whatever. He said, what was the difference? What's the difference between these people? Why is it that certain people become like, you know, they're lauded amazing skills, and then there are others with lesser skill? And so they analysed everything about these people to try and see what was it, where is it, where is it? You know what they found? There was one thing and one thing only that they did find: the magic ingredient. They really did. The magic ingredient was the amount of time they spent playing the violin. Yeah, shock. Dun-dun. Anybody who's really good at something, they're good at it because they spend their time doing the thing, so they become good at it. That's it. And so, you know, it's not hard. It's just inconvenient. Yeah, but Amiga, they know it's like you know nothing about programming. Yeah, but if you put your mind to it, you could. But there are so many things you can put your mind to. We make choices where we want to focus. Retro requires a small subset of knowledge, hardware, compared to modern stuff. Here's the thing. Retro is a smaller palette to work with. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you get less creative. In fact, the bigger the palette, the more you get distracted by your palette instead of making stuff with your palette. You know? So there you are. And so why is it? Because I do lots of things, okay? Lots of things, don't I? I program, I do music, program, and I do music, basically, and I work. I've got a job. I do 3 things. I work, I do music, and I program outside of work. That's it. What's my secret? How do I develop multiple talents? You know. So I tell you, I don't watch TV. I used to. God, when I was a kid, I didn't watch TV. God, well, how I could have developed myself by now. What? It's never too late. I've got pretty good at playing the trumpet. When did I start playing the trumpet? I was 40 when I started playing the trumpet. I was about your age when I started playing the trumpet, Amiga. I'm really glad I did, because I get a lot of pleasure out of playing the trumpet. When did I properly start playing the violin? It's probably about the same age. I'm not so good on the violin. But that's because I don't play it as much. It's never too late. It's just a question of what you want to focus your time on, you know. Anyway, enough of this nonsense. You know. Structure. So this returns a pointer to the character. Right, yeah. So what I'm going to do is do char star p equals structure where the string and the character, where the string is this and the character I'm looking for is this. Now, if p is not equal null, if it is equal null, then it didn't find it. So else, well, you know, rather than do that, actually, it's pointless to. Yeah, let's do that. I could just print a message out and say error could not parse get, and that's fine. Otherwise, I have managed to find the slash. Now, when I find the slash in there, then I need to parse up until a space. So then we do find the first space after the, which is just another one. So I'll call this P1, P1 not equal null. It's a bit ugly, this kind of parsing of strings, but you know what? It's damn efficient. And frankly, it's actually not that hard to do, so it's not, and it's not risky code. So I mean, who cares? So if I've got that, I've got the first space. So if I find that space, then I can actually do a little trick where I do P2 equals star P2 equals, and I just overwrite that space with a 0. So now I actually have this K equal, this bit of string here. And I need to break it on the equal, actually. So maybe what I should do is find the first equal. Well, it's looking for an equal. Let me do it this way. Right, look for the equals. Come on. Oh, else, and I can print an error. If you want to learn to program, I teach you. You want to learn to program? It's up to you. I'll help. I'll help anybody learn to program. I'll help anybody learn mathematics. Help anybody learn anything that I can teach. And you think, wow, you must be mad. You end up spending all your time. So no, because it's very rare I ever find anybody who's really serious. I'm sorry. It's true. You could, if you never, you don't really need to worry about that. I tell you, it's like, it's not. I'm not found myself with that problem yet. So if I do P2, I've got the equal, and then we'll find the space after the equal. So what we can do there is do char star P3 equals structure from P2 plus 1, so the first character beyond the 0, looking for a space. And then we can do the if P3. Look at that. That's contamination from C++. I don't need to do that. You can just say if P2, if P3. Come on, this is C. Embrace C. And then star P3 equals \O. Basic. Oh, yes, that was something really that had soul. Those early computers, and they were around in 1978. They were incredible. And it would start up, and you put the cartridge, basic cartridge in, you start up and go, ready. It's not something you remember. It's like riding a bike. Do you remember how to ride a bike? It will be still there somewhere. You just have to try. Just have to do it. So, could not pass, could not find that slash, or on here, if P3, then we say could not find space after slash, and then here we go P3 equal blah, blah, blah. I should have two. Let me see if I've got them now. What I'm going to do is just print out %s equals %s. Let's see if I can get these done. So the first one then is going to be after the get. Does it start with get? Yes. If it starts with get, the string that I need is actually from the slash. The slash was found at P1, so it's P1 plus 1. It's one character on from the slash. And then the second one would be from the equals, where I found the equals, and it's P2 plus 1. That should give me the two things. So do refresh. Oh, I need to drag the slider. Ooh, connection refused. Ooh, crash. Oh, it didn't actually build. Why not? Oh, there's an error. Yeah, well, let's deal with the errors first. Strong comp. I can't find strong comp. Why? Because I need to do hash include string dot h. Try again. Yes. And then we hit refresh and see what happens. And I got an error. Let's try that again. Could not parse get. So yes, a little bit of a failure there. Right off the. Where did I print the thing? Right, could not find space after. Right, I need to do my new lines in here. Because there are a number of. Okay. This is doing. Okay, on here. This one is on here. Then this must be the one that does the for each, which I'm only going to read the first line, so I'm going to put a break here. Okay, try again. Do. And incoming. I didn't get an error. Get. But I didn't get the. Ooh, that's a bit weird. If string comp is in blah blah blah. Oh, there's something wrong there. This is, it couldn't find the slash. Right. This could not find the space. This one here could. Oh. This one could not find the equals. This one is could. This one is could not find the slash, and this one is could not find get. Try again. In here, refresh. Dun, dun, dun. Error, could not find get. So we got a problem straight off with the get. Just to see, help out here, I'll get it to print. Oh, come on, here we go. Let's print the string. And there's the string, and it couldn't find the get. Well, I've got the string, and it can't find it, which is a bit of the weirdness. Because I look for string comp. 3 characters, get string, get. It's get. That's just to make sure I'll put markers on either side of the string in case there's some extraneous character in there. Oh, there it is. Get. 3 characters. Get. It's get. How could it be? Because it's the sense is wrong. String comp needs to be equal 0 because it's either greater than or less than 0 if they are not equal to tell you whether it's less than or greater than in the comparison. So I just got that the wrong way around. Let's try that again. Boom. Okay, Amiga. Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. Take care, mate. Have a good night. And there we are. It worked. K1 equals 0. So now if I change the slider, K1 equal 0.15. Look at that. It works. Yay. So I've almost done the thing because now all I need to do is get these values to go into my shader, and then I'll have an interactive web page that affects my running program. See, it's cool. It's almost there. So since I have actually pulled out the 2, all I need to do now is use the interface that I've already prepared. Values located, something like this, which goes into here. So the first thing is I need to get my float. Value locate $str, that's P1 plus 1. That one is the K1. Except, what did I actually call it? I need to check that with text. I think it's actually called text shader than K1. So what I need to do is, now I made a special thing for this, C str format. Anything is that we need to free, let me just check how that is implemented. Go into string. It returns smem. It returns a S, but S is, oh, there's no way of freeing it. To do, I would say it's hash map to reverse lookup this so it can be freed. So I'm going to be creating a memory leak for now, but worry about that later. So you see string format because I need to use the value to text. I need to take text shader dot values. Oh, no. I need to, the easiest way is to put this into the damn page. Okay, let's do that. So I'll do P1 plus 1 on here. So we get the value. Oh, that would have been the same here anyway. So I locate the value with the name that I've got. Kind of fake reflection. Get a pointer to it. So it's a pointer to a float. And then I need to set that to the float value, which is going to be ASCII to float of P2 plus 1. So that would set the value, and then I have to notify the system that this value has changed. That should work in theory. Could not find hash. Why is this? Okay, don't know why it kept on moving. Could not find hash. So the problem is that it can't find the hash because it's the wrong. It's K1, which is the wrong thing. I actually need to say when I send this request S K1 here, I need to use the values that I set in here. It's called text shader.K1. Let's try that. So we'll restart the program. I hit refresh on this page, and look, it didn't complain. Oh, this is exciting. This is exciting because this could be, I've been working towards this for a while. Didn't work. Okay, well, it should have worked. Yeah, text shader. It should be working. That should have caused a change in here. See? Well, maybe that value is not doing anything. Let me try max, because I know that max worked. So I need to add that in. We do a max. In the observe S text shader max console log request. That should be all I need to do to hook in. Right, let's restart that. Come on, you can do it. Oh, something changed. Oh, 0. It's always 0. There's something wrong about it always being 0. K1 numeric value. Oh, wait a minute. Java script convert float to string. To string dot to string. Seriously? In JavaScript? I don't know, not familiar with it. That would explain it. That would be explaining it. it would. Try again. Over here. Da, 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 da. Let's see. Come on. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. You can. You can do it. You can. Ah. Dot matrix shader line 48. What's going on with that? It's where I do the log here. You can see that it's always 0. I'm moving the slider about, and it's always 0. Because that's the wrong one. This should be K max. There was a copy and paste error. Let's try this again. Refresh. Come on. Oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh. It's so sad. Because it almost worked. It's like it reappeared, didn't it? Oh, something happened. What? Oh, that's so close. Why is it not working? Yeah, I saw something change when I. Hmm. Oh, so close. What's wrong with this? I'll go text shader K1 equal 0.55. Maybe something got confused. Let me just try restarting this and see if that's a. Oh, no. Okay, right. How am I going to debug this then? I have to go back to values and see. Here you can see that it's actually doing it. I can say set. I can see that it's executing that line when I hit refresh in here. Let's just get that a bit smaller, you can see. Okay, boom. And I go and change the slider. And you can see it's setting it to what? 0.4? That's confusing. It should be 0.52. It's not printing anymore, is it? It's stalled. I think I've got network problems. It's trying to work, you see. It's stalled. It's blocked. Okay, that's the problem. Too many connections going through. Damn. So it is actually working. Except that the connections it breaks down. Why? Can I send? It should be printing the result, I guess. And your shader. Calculate expression shader, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and then I'd return the response. Yeah, I should be printing out this. Well, I can't see which one it is, so I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Yeah, it looks like it is flooding the socket in some way which is tragic. It's also not, I'm not getting it to print the response here. It's flooded. See, if I'm fast, you can see proof that it's working there. If I move that thing fast, right, before it floods, then you can see it was in fact working, and now it's flooded and it doesn't work anymore. But what's odd is I'm not getting any response, which I should be. Let me try something here. I'm going to comment out the two requests here, and then I just do sort of emulating what I had before. K, text shader K1 equal 0. .39 is printing something. That's prints. Okay. Let me just get rid of these. So this is doing what it effectively did earlier. I'm getting no printing, although it did get an incoming connection. But it's not getting any response, which means that my code on here is not sending the response. Oh! Oh, okay, because I edited the str, it's not sending a reply, and that's causing the problem. So I need some kind of reply. If it gets as far as here, it's going to send some reply. Yeah, it got the reply now. So maybe it won't flood now because it's doing a proper exchange. I think what's actually happening is that every time I was moving the slider, it was making a connection, but because there was no reply coming, there would be eventually too many connections. The web browser would stop generating connections. So it's, with a bit of luck now, it will, oh, because I disabled it. Okay, yep. Yep, I need to now re-enable it. Okay, so here we go. Take this off, put this back on. We're going to do it for K1 only. Come on, so close. So nearly there. Come on. I'm over time, 1 minute over. Okay, here we go. That's it. I know. That's it. There we go. Oh, I really want. Oh, yes! Oh, that's so cool. It works. Oh, oh my God, it works. Yeah, sorry, it's excited because it's been a bit of a long road to get to this. Request. If you don't going on a little squeaky little voice for this reason, then why have squeaky voices at all? And you know, squeaky voice work very well. For some people, they become millionaires with really annoying voices. So maybe I could try that too. Let me get all of them working. So K1, K2, K3 and max. That's, in theory, all I need to do. And now I should have all 4. And I'm just getting rid of the logs. And then we go refresh. And oh, actually, let's just rerun everything. Let's hit refresh. Okay, let's refresh the page. And now, oh, come on, you can do it. Surely, we're here. I have 4 controls for my pixels. Come on. Oh, yes. It's a little laggy because I've got these print statements here, so I'll just get rid of some of this. Is from the client side. Little values, we've got a few. Actually, all I need to do is, that's a quicker way, I just exit the program and they all appear here, and then I can click on them and whoa, there they are. Right, so we'll get rid of that one. What's this? We've got one here I can get rid of, and 63, 76, 92, yeah, let's get rid of that one. 157 on socket, get rid of that one. Try that. All right, and come on. Oh, no, I've still got something on 90 here, socket 90. Socket 90. No, that was Joe 90. It was like very 60s music. Joe, do you remember Joe 90? That was cool. That was back in the days when there were children's programs that were very adult. Yes, and so here we go. Come on. Okay, little bit laggy still. It's a little bit laggy still because it's sitting there sending them very fast as I push the slider around. What I really need to do is add a little bit of a throttle. Now, do you see what I've been aiming for? These are pixels in my text renderer. Believe it or not, it's just it's rather zoomed in at the moment because I wanted to get a close-up of these. And the shader in it for each pixel is now controllable from this page. You might say, what's the point of that? You've just got sliders. Because there's a graph as well. I've got the graph in here. Look, do you get it? Do you get it? This is the nugget philosophy right here, right in front of your nose, right in front of your nugget. So this one here is just the cutoff. So when this is directly manipulating the variables that go into the shader, right? So this is basically each pixel, these 3 pixels in the shader, it's looking at the distance from the pixel to figure out how to do the fragment shading. So max is the limit of the range. So, okay, that makes sense. You can see that it only gets to a certain size and then it kind of reaches a limit. That's because because these pixels, you can have 64 of them, for efficiency's sake, it's only working in a grid. So there's a kind of a limit of how far out that can go. But anyway, that's fine. And then what you have here then is between the range of 0 to 1 affects the brightness. 1 is when you're right in the middle. That's the brightest point. So the thing here is that I can change the shape of the curve, or how it falls off as you go away from the center of the pixel. So, is it? Oh, lots of talking. That one didn't work. This worked. So maybe there's an issue here. Let me see. Ooh. So that's good. And this one? Did it break? Ooh. So I've got a little bit of an issue with the lag right now. Let's set this back to 0. So it's not working perfectly, but you're getting the idea. I think. Oh, there we got back to. Okay. So if okay, that makes sense. Yeah, sometimes it's not updating, which is a bit sad. It's not always updating. This one seems to be. So maybe. Maybe that one's not really having much of an effect. Let me have a look here. That seemed to work. No? What should happen here is that it should be very dark and then jump into the center. Oh, that's working. But it looks like K2's not working. Let me just check if there's a. Here, K2, text shader K1, K2, K3. Yeah, so I'll need to debug this a little because it's not working entirely reliably, although the principle is. This parameter here seems to behave itself fairly well. Let's just put it on all the way on 1. Oh, God, you stay there. Thank you. Yeah, so that's all maximum brightness. And oh, that's interesting. That is very curious. Yeah, so I've got there's some bugginess going on, so it's not entirely working right. But you've got the general principle. I'm going to debug that tomorrow. When I get this right, though, then you'll have the graph here, which shows the fall off. then I can adjust the shape any way I like with this. No, you can see it kind of trying to work right now. I think I keep flooding the sockets. Yeah, that's it. That's the kind of effect that you should be able to achieve. It just disappeared there. But anyway, I'm quite happy with the fact he's got that far. I will carry on with it tomorrow. But it's time for me to go. Thanks for watching. I should hopefully be back again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Mike. I think you're the only person there, so thank you, audience. Take care. Good night, mate.